Well, hello again. It's me, and of course, where are you finding me but out in the garage again? So we got the tub off the Jeep, and it's time to make some dirt. So I'm going to drop the gas tank off and start working on this frame. Now, the gas tank's going to create a little bit of a problem because we got some gas in that thing, and hopefully I can get it off there without having to siphon. I don't really want to siphon the gas out of there. And it's 18-year-old gas, of course. If we keep doing the math, you'll probably be tired of me reminding you. It's been sitting for 18 years. I'm tired of it. But anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to see if I can get it out of there, get it out of the way. And then I'm going to grab up all my grinders and sanders and all that kind of stuff, and we're going to make some dirt and start cleaning this frame off. So let's get after it. Come on along. I'll show you the good, the bad, and the ugly as we start cleaning up this frame and getting ready to get ready for our tub to get here. All right, let's drop this tank. Let's get this fuel tank out of this thing. All right, well, welcome back. It's me again. I'm out here in the garage, and of course, as I mentioned before, we've made some progress on this frame now. I'm about a third of the way done. So I think what I'm going to do today is I think I'll drop this rear drive shaft off and possibly bring the transfer case off and move my way up to the transmission, pull it off. That will get me to the point where I can pull this cross member out, and that will free up a lot of space in here to get kind of clear to here done of the frame, and then I just have the front section, so that'll be 2/3 of the frame done and sanded and primed. I got my stuff from Eastwood, my really good frame coating stuff coming. It should be here at the end of this week. And what I did order with that as well is the stuff that you spray inside of your frame rails. So it looks like what you do is you get the aerosol can, and it's got kind of a hose with a nozzle on the end, and you stick it down in one of these holes, or all these frame openings, and kind of work your way through and coat the inside of the frame with kind of a heavy duty sealer coating stuff that will kind of protect the inside of the frame, and then the good epoxy paint for the outside. So that's the plan today. We're going to do a little wrench work on this thing, so I might just set you up and let you look over my shoulder while I do that. So let's get after it. Okay, well, I got the rear drive shaft out. That's it right there. So we got our constant velocity joint up here, and then our U-joint back here. I just wrapped some blue tape around that so that my end caps don't come off, because if they come off, inside of there is all those tiny little needle bearings. And I know from experience, it is possible to get all those back in place, but it's a pain in the backside. So wrapped a little blue tape around there, even though I probably will put new U-joints in as I put these back. Again, there's no sense putting this stuff together with old parts in it. So I'll just give you a quick look down here. We have the U-bolts that go into the yoke on the differential. And then there's our yoke for the back of the transfer case. So now, I'm not gonna be able to reach this with the light, but now we'll start on this front drive shaft, get it at least disconnected from the transfer case. Well, let me just pause this for a minute and I'll get the light over here and show you what I'm talking about. So stand by, I'll be right back with this properly lit. Okay, so here we are back with a little better light on the situation. So this is the front drive shaft where it hooks to the output shaft of the transfer case. Same thing, we've just got those 1/2" bolts with the U bolts here. So I'll take those off. I may not get the whole drive shaft off, depending on, it might be easier just wait until I get to the front. But I'll take that off, and then if you can see down through the dust and dirt and stuff, we've got bolts here bolting up what looks to me like an adapter plate between the transmission and the transfer case. So again, this transfer case might be a good candidate for being swapped out with the other transfer case out of the CJ-7, but we'll see once I get it out of here and I can get this tag kind of cleaned up and see what I got here. But it does look to me like it's a different transfer case than the other one. So we'll see how that looks. So next stop is drop that front drive shaft. All right, well, there we've got it. Both drive shafts are out. There's the back, there's the front, bunch of U-bolts there. It was actually really pretty darn simple, because as long as you don't have the hubs locked, you can just kick this thing into neutral and turn all your yokes. So, you can just work on the top, get the easy part up top there. So now, the next order of business before I undo that, my bush or my mount underneath there, is I'll work on these bolts here and see what I got. And we'll drop that thing out of there. So I'm not really seeing any way that I'm gonna be able to keep the camera on this right now. So I think I'll just do it and come back and show you the end result. So bear with me and I'll be back. All right, well, I just wanted to kind of do a mid-course check-in here. So I have not got the transfer case off the transmission. I got the bolts here. Let's see if I can do that better. You can see the bolt holes there. I got the bolts out already, but there's one way back up in there somewhere, I think. It's holding those two together still. So I'm not really sure how this whole thing's gonna come apart with that adapter plate in there, but and I don't really want to try to lift this out all as one piece. So what I did is I just took off the 4 bolts that bolt the transmission to the bell housing. And of course, this is my reverse wire here in the wire loom. So I'm going to kind of roll this thing on its side so I can get a better look at the bottom and just leave it on the cross member for now and see if I can get to that last bolt and get that transfer case off, because it's easy to manage these if they're in separate chunks, but you can tell that's a pretty good chunk of iron there altogether, and I don't want to try and lift that all off one piece. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to roll this thing up on its side and see if I can get a better look at that last bolt in there that I think is holding everything together, and see if I can get that apart, and then we'll be continuing on the process here. All right, well, we got a bit of a progress report. So I got that last bolt off. Turns out it was a bolt with a nut on it, but what I didn't realize was when I got that out, I was actually opening up the transfer case. So I had not drained all the gear lube out of there, so I've made a bit of a mess, but I now have the transmission and the transfer case as two separate pieces, and yeah, there's definitely an adapter on here. So that didn't go too terribly bad. So I've got the transfer case on the ground down there, and I got some gear lube on the ground. So I got the high lift, or I got the floor jack under here supporting the back of the block. I'll start to lower that down a little bit, and we'll see how the motor mounts support it. I'm not really sure if it's going to hold it or if I'm going to have to put a jack stand under there. But there's my big old stout T18 4-speed and the still to be identified transfer case down there. So have no fear, I got it done. I just made a little bit of a mess, but you know, that's what this DIY stuff is about, is you're saving time and money, or saving money at least, but you're making a mess, and you're kind of learning as you go on some of this stuff. So when those two go back together, obviously there's going to have to be some sealant along there. I don't really see a gasket. It looks like it's just been some Permatex on there, but it's apart. So now I can get it out of the way, and then I will drop this cross member out of the way and get back to working on the frame once I clean up my mess. So a little cleaning to do, and then I can get back to work. Hey, well, here we go, checking in on the night's progress. It did not go so bad. So here's my transfer case, my transmission. So funny story, well, I don't know if you'll find it funny, but I did. I asked Siri as I was getting ready to lift that transmission off of the cross member there. You can see the cross member in the background underneath there laying on the ground. I asked Siri to look up how much a T18 weighs, and the only thing she could find was some website that said with the bell housing on, which is still up there on the motor, it's 200 pounds. So I didn't really want to deal with it being that heavy, so I just called it fake news and lifted it off of there. It's pretty close to 200 pounds, I think. It's pretty dang heavy. So anyway, I have now removed the floor jack from underneath the back of the engine, and it's sitting there okay on the motor mounts. So I thought it would. I kind of always think the motor mounts got to be pretty much centered on the weight of the block. So brake lines are all going to be replaced, so I'm just kind of tearing that crap out of there as I go. But now you can see that I can continue on with the frame. And as I said, I can get, a third of this thing done. Now, I'm not too worried about, getting kind of greasy handprints on my primer and all that kind of stuff. But my expectation is when I get the good frame bonding epoxy primer stuff from Eastwood at the end of the week, I'll probably, wind up sanding that off real quick with the sander, and then going back to my bare metal. I just put that on so that my bare metal doesn't start to rust while we're waiting for stuff, because I didn't know how long it was going to take to get here. But anyway, this thing is getting nakeder by the minute. So drive lines are sitting here, and all the bolts, all those washers you see on the ground right there, were kind of spacers between the cross member and the frame to drop it down about a half an inch, I'd say. So I will have to do some figuring to figure out, the line of angle of everything, because obviously, if you have the engine on too much of a tilt, then you know, it's going to kind of throw off your oil measurements when you're measuring the dipstick oil. So a little bit of research to do on that point, but other than that, I'm ready to get back to some dirty work. Now, for tonight, I don't know if I'm going to call it good for the night, but it's the time of day where I got to go in the house and get myself something to eat, and the dogs are probably expecting their nightly treat right now. They're probably pacing around the kitchen going, where's he at? So I'm going to wrap it up for now, possibly for tonight, but I'll just give you one quick view up the back here. Let me just grab the light again. The light's pretty rough out here in the garage, so apologize for moving this light around. I'm trying to make it so you can see this stuff well. But there we have it from the back. Open frame, you know, from basically just right up there at the engine point. So I'll probably cut that nasty muffler hanger off and do something better with that. But I've already started some of that frame, but now again I can get clear up to even with the bell housing there and have a third of this frame finished up. I got to do this one cross member in the back, kind of inside of the channel there. And then what my thought is, and this might be crazy, but what I'm thinking I may be able to do is I'll get the engine out, I'll get the radiator off. I have new shackles. I'm planning on putting new shackles in on the springs. So at some point, I'm going to take the frame off of the leaves once I have all the heavy stuff off of it, and I'm just going to flip it over and lay it upside down on this side of the garage and tear into the bottom channel there that I can't reach very well, because I'm not going to lay on my back and sand all that stuff down in my face. But I figure once I get everything off of there, I should be able to just kind of flop the frame over on its top and do the bottom side, paint that all up, flop her back over, paint the top up, put her back on the leaf springs, and then start kind of the reassembly. Gosh, can you believe I'm already talking about putting the thing back together? So things I need in order to get there, I'm gonna have to pick up a motor lift, an engine lift, and an engine stand, I think, to put that engine on. But I think at one of these days I'll tear into the wiring and pull the wiring harness off of there, and then really I just have to take the radiator off and the front grille, and I'll be ready to pull the block out of there. And then I really will have just a bare frame. So I think at that point it'll be, you know, we'll figure out if it's doable, but I think it'll be doable. And how else are you supposed to get to the bottom of it except make the bottom the top for a while, right? So perfect logic there. So I'm rambling, I'll stop. I gotta go get me some dinner. I think that's what it is. This hunger is starting to kick in, so I'm gonna go eat me some dinner. And next time you see me, I'll be back with the mask and the goggles and everything, and I'll be filling the garage up with dust again. So I'll see you then. Don't go anywhere, stick around. It's just getting to the fun parts. All right, so one quick check-in. I did not go in the house and eat some dinner yet. So I'm gonna have to do that right away. But I just grabbed a putty knife, like a 1-inch pretty stout putty knife, and kind of tore into this just scraping. And it turns out that that's maybe the easiest way to get this paint and I think it's undercoating on this off of this thing. So it's coming off pretty easy actually, and I've done kind of that outside of the rail and the inside here. Let me see if I can keep you from getting vertigo from going upside down. But now with the bulk of the paint off, that'll sand up pretty quick and I'll be able to just get some primer on it. So now I'm really going inside, but I just wanted to share that with you that I think I found for some of this kind of, it's gonna go a little bit faster just scraping off with that putty knife first, get the big bulk off, and then I can sand it down the rest of the way and just get the little bit of surface rust off and get some primer on there. So yeah, cruising right along. So that's it for now. I'll see you later.